Hello, I'm Paul Vidler, a trustee of the railway and chair of the Environmental Sustainability Group. Join us today as we find out what the railway is doing to help conserve the environment. Later, we will hear from Heather Packham, our Visitor Experience Manager, about a new souvenir book which will include details of the biodiversity found along the track, as well as facts about the railway. Also joining us will be Siggy Knepp from Tenterden Wildlife, which is working in partnership with the railway and others to help improve local habitats. First, we have Keith Barron, our lead on environmental strategy, who believes Kent and East Sussex Railway should be focusing on conserving the extraordinary biodiversity all around us.
First, we were interested in looking at things like recycling and saving energy, but the group ought to extend its remit to looking at the railway's biodiversity as it runs through 10.5 miles of rather fine countryside with a diversity of trees and plants along it. And we also heard of another heritage railway up on the North York Moors having done something similar. It struck me that this was something that we too could and should be doing. And so that's what I've been trying to take a lead on along with Paul, and that involved us in working with an organisation called Adonis Blue, who work on behalf of the Kent Wildlife Trust, and they undertook a biodiversity survey of the line. The surveys confirmed what we hoped we'd find, which was an extraordinary diversity of bird life, about 90 species, and up to 15 different types of bee, bumblebees mainly, a couple of which were quite rare. We followed up with a butterfly survey and a survey looking at reptiles, and it confirms things like the fact that there are over 100 flowering plants along the line. The railway was closed to passengers back in 1954 and then to freight in 1961. That means that in that intervening time, nature had a huge amount of time in which to sort of establish seedbed and to remain undisturbed. But also, of course, because the railway is effectively a green corridor, you've got lots of little parcels of land, so corridors are absolutely vital for enabling the intermingling of species and the thriving of species.
As Keith explained, this is an important project, and to help get the message across, Heather Packham, our Visitor Experience Manager, is producing an educational activity book to be released in the summer.
So this is a visual of the front cover of how it's going to look, and the idea is for it to be an educational souvenir book specifically for families, although obviously adults might enjoy doing it as well, and it will encompass a lot of the information that we've done from the biodiversity surveys down the line. So it's encouraging the children to look out of the train windows, see what they can see along the way, and it also gives you a lot of sort of railway facts, and so they're learning more about a heritage railway at the same time, and I'm hoping it's going to sell well. Prior to this guide, we actually did a what to see from the train sort of activity sheet, and we had large vinyl on some of the tables as well. So that would again point out what the main things were to see as you go along, which has been successful. We've done various seasonal sheets that go alongside that, so what you can specifically see in different seasons, spring and summer awakenings. We've had a Green Fun Day event where there's been very much an environmental theme, working with local Tenterden Sustainability Group. We've also got sort of country fair events where again it's sort of showcasing all of the various forestry and conservation things we do here, and obviously how we manage the line amongst other things. So quite a few different events that we've done throughout the year, just to show that actually people that enjoy nature can come and enjoy their time here. It's not just about steam railways. We've been running special bird watching trains last year and this year, working with David Campbell from Wild Start. So he's been able to share with people a lot of the different birds we found along the line. And we've gone out sort of at different times with different local groups, and it's been really successful. It's been a very small group, so it's kind of quite a nice, unique experience. And we are hoping to continue to run those next year. And we do that at times when you're most likely to see the birds in areas along the line. So we're particularly grateful to the Nineveh Charitable Trust, who have given us some funding to be able to put this guide together.
The book will be a particularly valuable way to enhance our visitors' experience, and we are aiming to have it ready in the summer of 2025. Another essential part of conserving the environment is tree planting. Keith describes an elm tree project in the meadow here at Rolvenden Station.
This is land that the railway acquired when it extended some of its infrastructure. So that just down to my left is a large carriage shed. This land is part of the land that was acquired for the siting of that. As part of the permissions, a short biodiversity report was produced in order to offset the building work. But essentially what we have behind us is a 2-acre field. So we were also contacted by James Cloud. He was the tree officer at the time for Kent County Council. We were approached, could you plant 10 disease-resistant elm trees, 5 of one species called Rabona, 5 of another called New Horizon. And the track side, between the track and the sidings at the carriage shed and our 2-acre field, seemed an absolutely ideal spot, especially as there's a ditch there, so there's likely to be a supply of water, but they are actually reasonably drought resistant. And ultimately they might attract certain species of butterflies, and that's what we're very pleased to have done. And they seem to be taking very well. The year they were planted was that really, really soggy, wet year, so there was no problem about having to water them in. And this year, although it's been quite dry, they're clearly thriving and successful, and they will grow to really large mature trees, and again there'll be a feature for passengers to look at as they pass in their trains.
The forestry and conservation team's efforts are essential in helping to maintain tree diversity along the line. Working with local groups is also very important. Siggy Knepp from Tenterden Wildlife explains their work with the railway.
We've obviously collaborated for a number of years in monitoring and surveying the rich wildlife that runs along your track, also with seeking opportunities to expand that further into adjacent landowners' sites, aiding biodiversity in the parish. We also have a number of other projects, primarily the education side. We work with 6 local schools, helping to improve the knowledge and engagement of the upcoming generations in their local wildlife and habitat, and to expand their understanding of what is around them, because we believe that if they know about what's around them, they will care for it more deeply, and bringing people along with the whole message of nature recovery. We have worked with local benefactors, basically facilitated a number of surveys and monitoring activities to really capture what beautiful biodiversity you have along your line. In actual fact, having the track running through the length of the parish and beyond has actually preserved the land either side of it, and you have up to, I think, over 100 different species really undisturbed because of the lack of human access along your track, and it has allowed biodiversity to flourish. I think in terms of our engagement with the residents, I think there's generally a very positive feedback that we've been receiving. They can see what you're doing. So you've got wonderful wild pollinator friendly flowers, as well as the people who actually come and visit your railway, offering enhanced train rides to view bird life, wildlife, and all those things raise awareness and bring people along with your story, including local residents, because it is obvious to see that you are engaged with increasing biodiversity. There's the compromise perhaps a little bit about the running of the railways, and some people may view that negatively, but in terms of the overall impact of your activities, we're very much in support, because the track itself has allowed biodiversity to flourish. So there is very positive feedback. We've also been leafleting to raise awareness with the local residents, and also to help turn mindsets from the neat and tidy countryscape to a wilder, more nature-friendly environment where all sorts of insects and animals can thrive.
Wilder and more nature-friendly habitats are something we are keen to promote. Keith sums up how we can send the right message as far as the environment surrounding the railway is concerned.
So the idea is to publicise with our local communities just what rich biodiversity lies on their doorstep. And so one's trying to encourage them to obviously visit the railway, but also to let them know what we're doing to protect their environment, because I think most people who live near the line and down the Rother Valley and in the local communities are probably quite emotionally connected to where they live, and therefore to know that we are also protecting their environment, I think is a very valuable thing for them to know, and for us as a railway to be publicising. We're not just running trains, which a lot of people would think that's all you do. It's much more complex, running a railway. I think we actually amount to about 80 acres or more when you add up what's on either side of the track. So we're a small landholder as well as being a heritage railway.
Thank you for watching today to see how the railway is improving the local environment through its conservation efforts. We appreciate Heather Packham, Siggy Knepp and Keith Barron for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to tune in next time.